This movie was just phenomenal. I'm just going to say it straight up. This movie brought me to tears many times. Well, almost. I choked them back.
Yeah, he doesn't cry. Yeah.
So I felt like I would have really lost it completely.
Yeah. There was a point I wanted to cry, and I was just like, if I start crying, I'm going to miss the rest of everything. I had to suck them back in and just we'll leave it for after.
Yeah. Phenomenal movie. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Most Potato Podcast, the podcast where we cry over sentient robots. My name is Alvin.
I'm Jess.
And today we're going to be talking about The Wild Robot from DreamWorks, the honestly just legendary animation studio that I feel like you and I and the rest of the world accidentally sleep on because we keep hearing Disney and Pixar and Studio Ghibli. And we forget that DreamWorks puts out bangers too.
Yes.
This movie was just phenomenal. I'm just going to say it straight up. Before I say anything else, this movie brought me to tears many times. Well, almost. I choked them back.
Yeah, he doesn't cry. Yeah.
I actually do. But for some reason, I just wanted to hold back because I felt like I would have really lost it completely and I would have been missing some scenes.
Yeah. There was a point I wanted to cry and I was just like, if I start crying, I'm going to miss the rest of everything. I had to suck them back in and just we'll leave it for after. Yeah. This
movie was so good, guys. Just phenomenal movie. When the first trailers first dropped a year ago or two, I was instantly hooked. The concept of a robot out in nature, there's no humans around.
Yeah.
It looked like a really touching story. It gave me Iron Giant kind of vibes. And
I still haven't seen that. I need to watch that. I know.
We're going to have to do an episode on that.
Okay.
Just for you to finally watch that masterpiece.
Yes. I always see it and it's on my list.
Yeah, it gave me those vibes. And now that we finally saw the movie, it really delivers on all the feels. This movie was it was so funny, but it also wasn't afraid to be a little bleak and really pull on your heartstrings.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Shipwrecked on a deserted island, a robot named Roz must learn to adapt to its new surroundings. Building relationships with the native animals, Roz soon learns to develop a parental bond with an orphan gosling. And like I mentioned before, this movie is super emotional. It's so touching. Most of the times that we felt tears, it wasn't always for sad moments. I felt like it was just very touching.
Yes.
Emotional, sweet moments.
They were almost very basic, but they still got me anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it's a lot of these are very similar tropes and themes that we've come across before, but it doesn't make it any less valuable when it can really play with your emotions.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of going to a movie, is trying to feel something, and we definitely felt things. So I just wanted to ask you, what were your initial thoughts coming out of the theater? Just tell me everything that you loved, things that you didn't like.
I was I'm okay. I can cry now. That's how I felt. I
can safely cry.
I can safely cry now that I'm out of there. No, I didn't want to miss anything. Everything was perfect. I was hooked from beginning to end, and I don't know. There was just something, like you said, wholesome about it.
Yeah.
And something that I can't get past, because even we saw it a couple days ago and I'm still thinking about it.
Me too.
There are particular scenes where I'm just oh man, that.
And then you're on the verge of tears while we're eating our spaghetti.
Yeah, it was really well done. And I guess I left feeling it's been a while since I've walked out of an animated film like this, where I'm okay, I don't feel like they pushed it enough. Our theater was pretty empty.
Yeah, that's the sad thing that I can say about our theater experience. At least our row was fairly packed, but the rest of the auditorium was empty.
And I just felt this. I'm where are the kids? Where
we had kids on our row at least.
Yeah, I know. I just felt like it should have been full because
everyone
shows up for Frozen. No offense to Frozen, but or what those type of movies, and I'm just well, this is new, this is refreshing, this is different. I feel like it's definitely something to make kids think and to make adults think.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's a typical trope, of a heartwarming, pulling on the heartstrings type of animated film about finding family, making your own family, and eventually having to leave the nest, all that basic stuff. But I think it's it has a very good message, and I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah. Yeah, and going back to what you were saying about how this is not getting enough attention. The good news is this movie is still making a profit. From what I saw, the budget was like 70 million and it made back like over 30 million. I think actually over 40 million. Okay. So it's on its way to make a profit. So people are going out to see it, just not in the numbers that you'd get with like a Pixar or Disney or you know, anything else with a big IP.
It's because they don't know. Go see it.
Seriously, guys, go see it. But but the marketing could have been stronger too. I didn't feel like I was seeing enough like trailers and like posters and stuff. But this is also based on like a children's book, which I had no idea.
Yeah,
I thought it might be like an original story, but it is like a little known property, so there is like a fandom out there. It obviously wouldn't be as big as something like Frozen or Toy Story or anything like that. Like you, I was trying to choke back tears at many points during the movie, and I think there was moments where I could sense you were about to cry, and we were like both like acknowledging that we were both trying not to cry. And I don't know, I kind of wish I let myself go now that I look back on it, but I was like, I really don't want to miss anything. I know if I let myself go, I'm going to be sobbing next to this grown man with his kids to my right, and it'll be kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
I let myself do that for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I let myself do that for Blue Giant. I was like,
oh yeah, he cried during Blue Giant. I couldn't even like hear the movie because he was over here sniffling. Yeah,
I'm proud of it.
Yeah, but I was really trying not to cry for this one. I don't know if you saw me, but like I started pulling my sleeves down, and I was just like,
oh, I saw that. That's when I knew. I was like, I know,
I was trying so hard. I was like, we're not gonna cry, not yet.
Yeah, definitely. When I was watching this movie, the first thing that struck me was, damn, I'm so glad we got Dolby tickets for this. I'm glad that they presented it in a Dolby projection, because the animation is freaking gorgeous. It's stunning, and I'm really glad that we're starting to see a little more variety in styles of animation. Because again, no shade to Disney, but a lot of their properties tend to look like very, very similar in terms of aesthetic. Like, I'm not a huge Disney fan. Like, I'll be honest. Like, I tend to shit a lot on a lot of Disney things.
He does.
But I always give them credit where credit's due. Like, movies like Coco, like, they're fantastic. But I did notice that for over the last couple of decades, I feel like there's a lot of animations that just come out with very similar aesthetics. This one really stood out to me because it just looks like a movable painting.
Yeah,
every single shot looks like it was hand painted.
The shot with the butterflies, I know.
I keep thinking that's in my head right now.
I saw that, and I just like, I wanted it to be like kind of on a loop because I just couldn't like get enough of it.
Yeah, I retweeted so many like gifs of that shot. It's amazing. Animation is gorgeous. It has this beautiful paint, this almost watercolor look sometimes. It's kind of reminiscent of their previous movie, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Which,
I need to watch that.
Yeah, I've never watched it. I hear it's phenomenal for like a Shrek spin-off.
Yeah.
And it also kind of gave me similar vibes to like Into the Spider-Verse, but it didn't look like a ripoff of anything. It really looked like it was like from the pages of a really colorful children's book.
Yeah.
So animation was infectious. I took it all in.
Yeah.
It was so delicious. It was so good. All the feels, all the characters. I feel like almost every character that was utilized, they had some sort of personality and purpose. Even the characters that had very little screen time.
Yeah.
And I would feel for them whenever they went through stuff too. This, I don't know. I'm drawing blanks on what I could complain about. I will say the ending is something that I don't love. I'm fine with it, but I'm not in love with the ending, which we can get into in the spoiler section of this.
Yes.
But that might be my only gripe, is I think there could have been a honestly better, more fulfilling ending, specifically with the Roz character. But overall, I love this movie. When we walked out of the theater, I was like still trying to hold back tears after using the bathroom. It was.
Oh, I cried in the stall after you when I went to the bathroom. It's like, no, I'm kidding.
Somebody under the stall passes you a tissue paper. Yeah, this movie is phenomenal. Like, so we're about to get into spoilers now. So if you haven't watched the movie yet, pause this video, go watch this, and come back, because there's a few details that we definitely should talk about.
Yes.
So we'll start with the beginning. So the whole crash landing of Roz, I really like that setup. I really like how we don't waste time with like a lot of setup of where Roz came from. We get bits and pieces. We just start with Roz crash landing from some sort of shipment and just trapped in like the middle of this island. It's like Gilligan's Island, but with a robot. And we see that the Roz is just trying to like provide services to wild animals who they can't use this freaking thing. Like, it's such a useless thing to wildlife. But we just see Roz constantly trying to advertise itself to wildlife, putting stickers and shit.
I know, taking their pictures and then sticking stickers on them. And they're just like, they're either walking around with the stickers or they rip them up. I just thought that was really funny. Yeah. And, you know, one thing I did think later on was just like, it's a robot. It's supposed to like provide services and do stuff, which I assume is to help humans. Because there are humans, they're just not on this island.
Yeah.
Why isn't she not programmed, or any of the robots programmed, to know that this is an animal, so you can't provide service to the animal?
We can't be too realistic, because then we wouldn't have this movie. That's why it wasn't programmed to recognize animals from humans.
I guess. But yeah, that was what I was thinking. It's just like this whole time, it's like she didn't know what an animal was.
It's still way more advanced than any AI shit that we have going on right now. Like, our companies are not even bothering to train AI to like actually be smart.
Yeah, that is true, because she does sit down and learn the language of the animals, which
literally, I thought that was so funny. Just you scanning animals, just interacting with each other, and they all have a universal animal language.
Yes.
Speed running Duolingo on how to speak animal.
Finally, to learn they're just talking heavy shit about her.
Yeah, I also liked the early on when she crash lands on the island. There's the scene where she comes across this little crab, and she starts adapting to how it moves. So she crawls up the seawall like a crab, and is able to make it up, and then picks up the crab and it goes, "How may I be of service to you?" or something like that. And then a bird just comes and snatches the crab.
You hear him screaming.
There's a lot of these moments in this movie where you see animals getting got. Like, you know they're dying, but they present it in this way that's just like humorous.
Yeah.
Because they're basically normalizing right off the bat, like, anyone can go at any moment. This is what it's like in wildlife. And I'm glad that the movie acknowledges that. And I think it makes sense to do that, because you can't easily do that with a story about humans. Like, it would be a very particular story involving humans and death. So I really like that little moment, as humorous as it was, it sets the tone for what the movie is later down the road.
Yeah.
Because we get so many moments like that start becoming, like, heavy. Like, it actually becomes serious. And then when it gets to the point where the story really starts, where Roz accidentally kills a goose nest running away from a bear.
Oh, yes.
And we see like the wing of like the dead mom. They don't show too much. And I'm just like, DreamWorks, thank you for doing real shit.
Yeah.
Because this gives me moments of like movies like Shrek, where they know how to tell like these jokes. They know how to tell these stories where it might be uncomfortable for parents to bring up with their kids, but the movie brings it up in a way that I don't feel like would ever bother a child, but it would inspire questions in their mind. So they're very tasteful about how they approach concepts of like serious things like death. And so that shot with Roz picking up the wing, and we're not seeing the rest of the body.
Yeah, and the eggs too.
And seeing that shattered eggs.
She tries to put the eggs back, and you see her scanning the egg, and it just it can't go back together. That was
that was just like, ooh, okay, it's getting heavy. Damn.
I know. I was just like, all this time, everybody's just making fun of her. I'm just like, this dumbass robot. I don't know how to like understand. And then this moment happens, and I was just like, shit. Where do we go from here? What does that mean? How is she going to process what she did? Yeah, even if it was an accident. Like, that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
and she would have been honestly lost if it wasn't for Fink the fox coming around. And they quickly set up their dynamic. Like, I really love that they set up the chosen family dynamic with Roz, Fink, and Brightbill, the little gosling that she ends up adopting. I really love how it starts off like imperfect, because Fink is just trying to eat this damn egg.
Oh yeah, he does take the egg, and surprisingly she goes after him, because she's just like, does this belong to you? I don't think it does. So she goes after him, she gets the egg back, she takes care of it, and then eventually it hatches. And then I feel like that's when she's just like, okay, you've accomplished what you're supposed to do. And then she just tries to leave the little goose there. And I was just like,
that's not how this works.
That's your baby. That's your mom.
It imprinted on you, bro. I'm sorry.
Yes, it did the whole little head-to-head thing and all that stuff. I just thought that was so cute.
Yeah, the imprinting scene was really sweet. It was really cute.
Yeah.
I love when the colors get really bright and warm whenever something is emotionally triggered in Roz. It's such a great way to convey emotion without showing a character's face, because she doesn't have a face, and without using words.
Yeah.
I love when the animation just adapts to when the mood changes with characters.
And it was good because you see that, okay, she's a robot. She doesn't really seem to understand, but you see it slowly with that color change. You see her slowly changing and becoming something else.
Yeah. Fink is a really awesome character. I love that they chose Pedro Pascal to voice him. I was kind of worried. I was like, okay, there's a lot of star-studded cast members here. Like, are they just going to try to profit off the names? But they actually make use of their talents with the voices.
Yeah, it didn't sound like Mando was just a fox.
At first, I couldn't recognize that it was Pedro voicing him. And then when I started listening closely, I'm like, oh shit, he's like doing an upper register that I've never heard Pedro do before. So I love that they put effort in the voice acting, because I'm so tired of just hearing celebrities as animals and robots.
Kevin
and
Hart.
Respect to him, he's getting his check, but we got to seriously bring back voice actors in bigger budget things, because there's a reason why there's so many voice actors. They're talented.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that they actually utilize these actors to really get creative with their voices, because he added a lot of personality with Fink. Fink is a really sweet character once you get to know what he really wants. I think it's very interesting that he's the only fox that we ever see.
Yeah.
And you see clearly that he's very lonely and he's looking for friendship and like kinship with people. And he finds that with Ross and this Gosling, even though he externally, he's just like, I don't want to deal with this fucking bird. I'm tired of this.
I want to eat him.
I just want to eat him.
That's the only reason why he helped, is because he saw a picture of a big ass bird, nicely baked and all that stuff. And he was just like, okay, I'll help you raise this little baby, and you're gonna do all these things, and it's gonna be great. You watch and see. I was just like, oh boy.
Yeah. So like the initial montage of Roz and Fink trying to raise Brightbill was really sweet and really cute. I love that it happens after a conversation with an old possum named Pinktail.
Yes.
She's a very real mom. She's in different. Bring it up. What's the scene you want to talk about?
Her whole entire scene, from we're introduced to her and from her giving the advice to Roz, she has 7 kids?
Yeah.
She has 7 kids. They're a handful. They run into Roz for the first time, and then they're possums, so they play dead. And the
kids are so overly dramatic. Most of them aren't even playing dead. They're just criticizing each other on how they're dying.
Exactly.
It's so funny.
And it was just so funny. And they're just like, "Oh, I'm dying of like laryngitis, or I'm dying of this or whatever." And they're like, "It takes time." And the mom's just like, "You guys are doing." They get up. She's just like, "You're doing it wrong. You're supposed to just die instantly. It doesn't matter." From what or how, just do it quickly. I just thought that was
and now look, now we're gonna die for real.
Now we're gonna die for real. I just like how she was just like, it is what it is. Like, it's like this very existentially aware animal of how the animal kingdom works. Yeah.
It's like any moment you could be gone, so it's like you can't be too attached.
Because she loves her kids, but she's not too attached to them, which I thought was so funny. Because while they were talking with Roz, she was explaining, she's just like, yeah, shit happens, and then like something just came and snatched up one of her kids off screen. We didn't see it, and she's like, oh, now I have 6. I was like, what?
I love this DreamWorks humor, man.
I know. It was so funny. And then as she continued talking, turns out the 7th one didn't get snatched. She's like, no, I'm still here, Mom. She's like, oh, thank goodness. Whatever. It was just that whole entire scene from when she first comes is just like, it's so funny. Like, I loved it. And I just like, I kept wanting more of her and her kids because they were just like, they were too much. I loved it.
Yeah, and for the little screen time that these characters have, the movie really utilizes them well, like with the humor, establishing personality, but also establishing the philosophy and the theme that we're dealing with, which is you're entering into motherhood now, and you're in the wilderness where anything can happen. Just do your best to raise this kid, but don't get too attached. That's kind of a cynical way of looking at it. And I love how that starts to get challenged as the movie progresses, and the relationships obviously strengthen the bond, because once I keep wanting to call him Gosling. I'm thinking of Ryan Gosling. Once Brightbill hits puberty and we see that he's struggling, we learn that he's a runt, which in the world of nature, a runt is a creature that's severely underdeveloped and has a very likely chance of not surviving. And I love that they acknowledge that. I love that that becomes part of like the identity of this teenage goose who like is basically coded to have some sort of disability of some kind because he's struggling to fly, he's struggling to swim, and he has to learn all these things. Roz has to teach him how to swim, how to fly, and I forgot the third
I think
task.
it was just to feed him.
Just to feed him.
To
which
keep him
that's-
alive,
yeah.
basically, which she was doing.
Yeah, so she has to prepare Bright Bill to leave the island before winter comes so that they can fly south. And I love that the movie sets up those three main tasks. It just sets it up perfect for a 3-act structure. And I think there's like a lot at stake too because this is a robot. She's trying her best, but she doesn't know how to freaking teach a goose how to fly.
Yeah.
And I love that there's the revelation when Bright Bill comes across the other geese. When they bully him, they talk about how Roz was the one that killed his family. And then when that gets brought up, then you see more tension. You see that Bright Bill is just like, fuck you, mom, like, or fuck you, Roz. Doesn't even call him mom at that point.
Stops calling her mom, and I was just like, ooh.
Yeah.
He's really mad.
That started stinging.
Yeah.
I was just like, I was like, I don't know, like, was it fair? Was it right for Roz to tell Bright Bill sooner about what really happened to his parents?
I want to say that maybe Roz should have. The only reason Roz didn't do it is because Fink told her not to do it.
Yeah, which I can understand that angle.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. Well, I can't say because Fink is a fox, and you know, I don't know what Fink's reason was for not saying anything. I felt like he's being protective.
Yeah,
and he's just like whoa, like there's certain things you're gonna want to say to a kid,
which is, I think is
say.
instinctual.
So yeah, so I felt like okay, maybe that is why, but also I felt like he didn't want to tear up like this little thing that was going on, this relationship between him and them, and he was in it for himself. I felt like in the beginning,
for sure.
And then I also thought like, yeah, you don't want to tell a kid this. I don't know how that would have turned out. Would we have the story still? But I felt like as he got older and he was struggling still, like why isn't he with the other geese? Like where's everybody else? It wasn't just his family that he had. I felt like she should have eventually told him instead of all these people who are just bullying him because he's a runt and he's raised by a robot and a robot that killed his family.
And they call her a monster.
Yeah, they call her a monster. And then, like, it's just kind of embarrassing for him or just, like, shocking for him to hear this. Like, wait, what do you mean? What are they saying? So, like, yes and no. Can I say that? A yes and no?
Yeah.
I feel like at some point she should be like, you're adopted.
Yeah. There is a way to tell that to children, and it might be best to tell them when they're young, just so that they're aware sooner, and they might not be able to process it all the way right away, but I think that establishes a connection of honesty like sooner, because I think leaving something like that until puberty, that I think that would hurt somebody a lot more.
Yeah,
that you've been sitting on a secret like that, like you killed my family by accident, like that's. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're not parents, so we have no idea how to approach that. But I think there are ways to bring up difficult conversations. And I think that's ultimately what this movie is about, is having those difficult conversations with your kids.
Oh, with your killer.
With your killer.
Well, I would definitely tell my adopted kid I killed their family, and that's why they're...
I wonder if any parents did that after the movie theater.
Yeah.
After they was like, son, you're adopted, and I accidentally killed your parents. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
I still love you.
Yeah, I think there's a way to do it. I don't know how, but
I just feel like Roz forgot to do it or put it off for too long.
She felt like it wasn't necessary. Her explanation was it didn't seem like important information to you at the time, so I kept that aside.
Yeah.
Which I understand. It's at the end of the day, it's still a robot that's computing. So I get why Roz wouldn't say anything off the bat. Plus, it's starting to become sentient as well, so there's all these conflicting feelings.
Yeah.
And I love the scene where when they have that big falling out, Roz is like trying to find answers on how to be a mom.
Oh, yeah.
And we see that scene where she's on the shore and she finds other Roz models that have been tossed aside from the shipwreck. And she's actually able to get one functioning. And it gives like this cool little quick spiel of like the lore of where she came from.
Roz, we're here to blood. Shut up.
Yeah, it's like this super idyllic, like 1960s retro futuristic idea of what the future would have been like for America, basically.
Yeah.
You see like these families that look like the Jetsons just flying around in space, and the robots are just doing everything for them.
Bullshit.
And then we see that the Roz model that is trying to give Roz answers, the more that she's trying to figure out what she needs, the more she's just like, oh, something's wrong with you. You need to go back to factory and be reprogrammed.
They're like, here, take my transmitter and get your ass help. That's like...
That was pretty funny, but it was also kind of devastating for Roz because she's like, damn, I came here for answers and this is still not satisfactory for me. Because she's still operating on the program of like, how do I complete this task? But now it's become so complicated because there's emotions involved, which a robot cannot help give answers to that. So I really like that they sprinkle these moments of like, they're kind of world building about what these robots are about and what this company was about. But then these are moments of character development for this person where they're trying to self-reflect and they're not getting the answers that they're desperately seeking. Yeah. Just adding to the desperation of being a new parent. Like, I think that's something that so many people can relate to. I love the montage of Roz enlisting the, what's his name? Thunderbill?
Thunderbolt?
I don't know. I think it was Thunderbolt.
Thunderbolt? The Falcon, right?
The Falcon, yeah.
Yeah. Because that was after the falling out where she was like, I'm still going to teach you how to fly. We're going to get you to fly so you can go with the rest of the geese. Yeah. Before the winter comes. And like, he still goes along with it. And they kind of like get past it. But not really. It's still there. It's very much still there. But this is something she has to do for him, even though you could see it's hurting her. That he's like kind of distanced himself. Yeah. And like you can also see that Bright Bill is still like that's his mom and you know whatever Finks is. That's his family. Yeah, that's his family, but he's also still feeling betrayed. And I like that you can still see it, but you can still see the love and you know and the support and the hope. You hope that they can work through it before he leaves, but then you know you just hope that it doesn't break them apart.
Yeah, and this is all thanks to the help of Longneck, an elderly goose that just comes out of nowhere. Like these characters, they get introduced randomly, but it doesn't feel like shoehorned. Like I feel like they come in at the right times because Longneck is a surprisingly really heartfelt character who, again, we get very little screen time of, and he's the reason why he's able to help Roz and Bright Bill kind of make amends just a little bit, just enough for them to get the training done for Bright Bill's flight. And I really love how Longneck talks to Roz honestly about parenting and how difficult it is and how it's like, listen, it'll be so hard. You'll feel a lot of pain, but you have to be there no matter what because you're his mom and you have to do whatever it takes.
And he says that he's been watching them for a while now, and like for him to be able to say that, you know, he's being like real, like he's being honest about what he said, which I was like, I like you. You're gonna die. Why? Yeah.
Longneck was really a fascinating character. I really loved the little time that we had with him. He was a really just genuinely honest, sweet character. Yeah. And someone that clearly cares about community, because he could have just minded his business, just went with like the flock and not have to deal with it. But he really went out of his way because he sees this struggling animal that could easily die, and he just believes in him. He believes in Bright Bill as like, yeah, you're a runt, but I can see that you can survive, and you deserve to have that chance. So that was really sweet. That was one of the moments where I was just like, okay, don't do it, don't cry. Don't do it. I kind of wish that Bright Bill learned from Longneck directly because Thunderbolt did feel kind of random because we only see him for a little bit with like the training montage. But I think they also mentioned that, you need somebody with a short wingspan that could teach you. Yeah. So
he's a lot smaller. You can tell when he was amongst all the other geese, he's really small. Yeah. And his coloring was a little different too.
He was lighter compared to all the other geese.
Bright Bill, obviously. But
light-skinned Bill.
Yeah, he's definitely different. I like that they went to go get to the Falcon. They're just like, Can you gonna help us? We'll pay you. And I don't know what falcons eat or whatever, but it was good. I liked. He was just like, Brightbill was like, oh, my wings are too small, and then the falcon's just like, the fuck you talking about? And he got these even smaller wings, and I just thought it was just like so cute.
He had so many words of affirmation when he told Brightbill to spread his wings, and he goes, excellent.
Yeah.
Looking at this small wingspan, he's like, glorious. It's like, yes, we need more people like that for our kids, man. Yes.
Yeah, that was really, really good. I loved seeing him like build the confidence to dive.
Oh yeah.
All that. You could see I was stressed. I was like I was stressed
die
for him. Yes. I was like, is he gonna be okay? I was like, is Roz gonna be able to protect him during like this training? Because Roz was injured earlier in the film, trying to save Brightbill from, I don't know what type of fish it was in this pond that almost
carnivorous fish.
Yeah, that almost killed Brightbill while he was practicing his swimming. She ends up like breaking a leg basically, and throughout the film you see like she's like extended her leg a little bit longer so that way she could walk on it, but it's also keeping her from helping him fully with his flying lessons. So that's why they went to the Falcon. It's like, can you help us? Can you do that? She builds a runway.
She builds a whole runway.
She's a mother. She's a mother. Like, she builds a runway for him to get. She's anything possible, because that's the last like task that she has to do.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how are you gonna feel when that's done?
Yeah.
How are you gonna feel? Like, what's next for Roz after you complete this task?
Yeah.
You know?
Which leads me to that question. How did you feel about Brightbill when finally leaving the nest?
Oh my gosh. She watches them fly off. They're like in that big open area. She watches them fly off, and then like it hits her. She's just like,
it hits all of us.
She's just like, he's leaving. And I like how she runs through the forest to get to like the highest point to like see him off with everyone else. And Longneck sees her like hanging off the side of like the cliff there watching, and he's just like, come on guys, and he like does like a
Longneck
back.
with the damn empathy, man.
I know. I just that I was tearing, guys. I was tearing. That got to me, same. And I was just like, oh, one last time, and she's gonna see that he is gonna be okay. He can do this. He's doing it, and hopefully he makes it, and hopefully he comes back. Because it's good that they were able to get him to fly, but it's also the journey. Where they're going is dangerous. Where they'll be staying could be dangerous. You know, so you could tell that she's still worried.
Yes.
She's still connected, and I love that so much. But when they circle back, I was just like, y'all stop it.
Yeah, and it's like kind of like their way of saying bye to each other, but they don't actually verbally say bye to each other, which kind of broke me. I was like, damn, Brightbill, come at least say bye, mom.
No, he's still mad.
He's still holding on to that pain.
Still holding on to that. And when they finally are gone, was it Fink? He shows up, and they have like that conversation about like, how do you know like you love someone?
Oh, God, that was
I was just like, it's too late.
First of all, the setting was perfect. When you see that winter starting to settle, like the colors are all starting to gray out, and you see Roz just sitting at the edge of that cliff that was staying on since saying her farewell to Brightbill. And that's when Fink comes up and is talking to her, and then Roz has this question that she struggles with. She's like, how do you know when you love someone? And that just like, it warmed my heart and it cracked at the same time, because she's acknowledging like, I love this creature now. I don't know what to make of this. And then Fink is also struggling with this question too.
Yes, I was gonna be like, damn it, and poor Fink, ain't nobody love his ass.
Like, I wouldn't know. I don't have friends or family. I'm sorry.
I know, and it wasn't like in a like, oh, woe is me type of way too.
No, but he was genuinely hurt and also didn't know how to answer
that. And I felt for him, like, as annoying as he was like in the beginning, because I'm just like, his one goal is to eat that bird. I right off the bat, I felt for him. I felt for him. I was just like, there's more to his bullshit than meets the eye.
It's not just because it's Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, there's more to him. And it's really sad. I loved the Fink's character. He was just like
he's so fucking funny too.
He's funny. Yes, he's very funny. But you also feel really sad for him, and you also want him to find his family, make connections, to be happy eventually.
Yeah, definitely. And then when we get to that scene where everyone's starting their hibernation process, and we see Roz is, instead of going back to the ship, she decides to stay in the shelter that she made earlier in the film. And we see Fink is has shown up in her her shelter. And then that's when they go on this whole like excursion of saving animals from dying from the blizzard that's coming.
Yeah, it was like really bad.
Yeah,
really bad one.
Yeah, I love that setup. I love how Ross was like, "Fink, what are you doing here?" He's like, "Well, my shelter collapsed, and I didn't want to die, so I came to you." And she goes, "Are there other survivors? Are there other animals that need help?"
He's like, "Not our problem."
He's like, "I don't know."
Like this fire girl. Like,
And then they go on that excursion, just quietly just going all around the island, seeing who they can rescue. I love the moments where they acknowledge when they can grab somebody, and then when they find somebody and they just look at each other just like,
yeah, I know. I like, who was it? Was it the skunk, or I forget which one it was, when thinks he dug up the ground and he's like, nope, this one's gone, but it was still alive.
Yeah.
I thought it was so funny because they all have beef. Like all these animals, like they just have the funniest beef with each other.
Yeah.
And I just like, that took me out when he was just like, yeah, no, this one's dead. And he just started burying it again. I was just like, you're
and
mad
Roz
ignorant.
comes in and is like, Fink, no, stop being mean. Roz doesn't have to do that, but she has grown so accustomed and in caring about other creatures.
Yeah.
She feels like she can't just exist without helping others, and it's not just because of programming. It's gone beyond that.
Yeah.
So I love that she basically just plays Noah's Ark and just brings all these animals to the shelter and has like this big warm fire and trying to collect everyone as much as she can before the blizzard really just takes over.
Yeah, and she's also like, she's losing like her strength,
Her
and
juice,
also,
her battery power is low.
Her battery power is low.
She's all battered up. I love how she progressively looks more and more blended in with the wild, because she has all these stains, dirt stains, scratches,
growing
moss,
on her,
a wooden part, like partial leg.
What was it was a beaver, right? He was like he's like an architect or whatever. He's trying to like chop down the biggest tree on that island, and he's always building something. He's really funny. I like, because the little shelter that Ross made for her and Bright Bill and Finks, it was based off of the beaver's little home. Yeah. And then I like how he acknowledges, he's just like, that looks like one of my models.
You copied my design.
Yeah.
You bastard.
Yeah, but I like that, like, as like mean as he is, he's also like Longneck was.
He's sweet.
He's sweet, and he's been watching her take care of that bird. Yeah. And I like I mentioned, she gets injured in the beginning of the film trying to save Bright Bill. He is the one that eventually, like, that stump, he makes
basically repairs her
leg for her. And I was just like, that's nice.
You didn't have to do that.
You didn't have to. You're an asshole, but you're not. Like, I love that. Yeah. But she's basically running out of juice, and there's one more animal for them to save. And I like how while she's away, it's the bear who chased her and
almost killed her, basically.
Killed her and made her kill Bright Bill's family, but, with the chase. She goes and she gets him. She saves him. She brings him there. When she gets back to the shelter,
all these animals just having World War III with each other.
Yeah.
It's fucking funny. I was like, yes, more conflict. And then when they bring the bear, they're like, holy shit, what the fuck?
Yeah, they're like, why would you do this?
Yeah.
And he's just like, you know what? I'm not going to eat you. After Roz's, like, speech, I'm like, you guys are all going to die, or we can get along, for this winter and survive this. And everybody's just like, all right, I'm not going to eat you, and y'all could cuddle with me. And, they settle in, and I thought that was like a really nice moment. And I like how the thing that the animals feared the most is the thing that brought them together, and they were able to put aside like all their issues with each other, knowing that they would eventually like
go after each other
again. Yeah, I thought that was like really, really sweet. That was a really sweet moment.
Yeah, and it really made me think about like how hard it is for people to come together during times of struggle. Like, it happens, but I feel like it happens in like pockets. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that happen, like in a like countrywide scale where something really drastic happens. Yeah. Like, I just love seeing stories of collectivistic culture and work because that's something that we desperately need around the world. Mm-hmm. Like, I wish people could just come together like that, the way that these animals did.
Yeah.
I mean, they showed the realism of it as well. Like, these animals, they started bickering with each other. Mm-hmm. And it shows that people and creatures, they can't just magically get along. There has to be other people that can, like, get them out of that headspace and be like, listen, priorities right now.
Yeah.
So I love that they have that moment because it just shows, like, the potential of what even humans could do if they could take those lessons and be like, all right, I've had issues with these people, but we're dealing with a serious issue right now that's affecting all of us. We should be able to work together and get through that, and then we can figure out the rest later.
But humans can't. We got animals doing it and a robot doing it, and just that's why there are no humans in here, or at least on this island. Because
we cut to where Brightbill is, and we see that they're caught in a thunderstorm, so they're dealing with their own fucking storm too.
Yeah.
And then they have to hide out in this greenhouse where we see a facility that's run by these Ross models.
Mm-hmm. And they're humans too, like operating, and it's you know what it reminded me of? Guys, go check out that episode. The creator.
The
little the scene with the greenhouse. It reminded me of the end of that one where
that was a great set piece.
And I was just like, I was like, this really. I
was thinking
like
that too, actually.
Because at first I was just like, why do I feel like this is so familiar? But I was just like, it's just a greenhouse. It's just a feel. And I instantly thought of that one. Yeah. Go listen to that episode, guys. It's actually a really good movie. It's something different. I feel like not a lot of people are giving it a chance.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, this section where Brightbill and the rest of the geese are getting attacked by the security robots, they're just overkill. They're bulky. Yeah. They shoot like these lasers. They're not even like bullets. They're like laser bullets. And I'm like, what is up with this firepower?
Gotta protect those tomato bushes, Alvin. Like, these tangerines ain't gonna grow themselves, so we gotta.
I love how like they add little elements here to color what this company is like. Like you can tell they're definitely hyper capitalist, where they're just concerned about protecting their assets and their property to sell. Because why else would you have a giant death robot ready to just like blast lasers in the middle of a greenhouse?
But then also just destroying the shit out of the greenhouse. I'm like, how much do you guys really care?
How much did you accomplish? Because you broke the glass as well. So there's like an opening for the geese. And I love that Longneck gives Brightbill the opportunity to lead the geese because Brightbill has experience with Roz, so he's not as fearful of robots as the rest of the geese.
Oh yes, because when they all just started scurrying and scattering and flying everywhere, and it was just
got them organized.
Yeah, he got them organized, and I love that. Like, he really just trusted him enough to be like, you got this. And I was just like, you gonna die.
I know when Longneck said, "I'll distract the robots." I was
guys like, you don't need to. You don't need to do that. We'll be fine. Just get out.
This was those moments where it was very predictable, but it didn't make it any less painful.
Yes.
When we see that he gets hit by the laser. They hint at it, and then it's confirmed when the geese fly back to Roz's island. There. Yeah, I was just like, motherfucker. But we at least get to see the geese have accepted Brightbill. Like, they love him, they cheer for him.
Yeah.
So he's come a long way. I just like, why they gotta do my boy Longneck like that, man? Come on.
Yeah.
When we finally have that moment where Roz and Brightbill are about to reunite with each other, Roz just like, she chickens out and she's just like, you know what, I'm just going to call the ship and I'm going to send myself back home.
Yeah.
I see that he's okay. I don't think he needs to see me.
Yeah.
I was just like, what are you doing, Roz?
I felt it though. It's just like, he's finally like accepted, and he's back where he belongs technically. So that's I guess that's how she was seeing it, and I was just like, I get it. And she sends out the transmission to get picked up. And
I love how like Fink is the one to pull Roz out of like her self-delusion of like not wanting to see Brightbill. As soon as she's about to go with the robot named Vantra, who's very creepy, just like this floaty tentacly robot that's extra cheery but is menacing.
I know her colors change, and I was just like,
she's like a proper villain, basically.
Yes.
So when Roz decides, okay, never mind, I'm not going with you guys, that's where like shit starts hitting the fan. They send like the killer robots, and the robots start destroying the forest, and it just becomes like this all-out war basically between the animals and the robots.
It looked like the first Avengers movie when the animals assemble around Roz to fight the robot. It really, that's the first thing I thought. I was like, look, it's the Avengers.
I think we kept saying that constantly.
I was really nervous. I was really like, what's going to happen to them? What's going to happen to this island? And then they have to put out the fire. And I like how they go to the beaver. I think his name's Paddler. And they're just like, yeah, we need your help. And he's just like, say I'm the bestest in the whole entire world.
Yeah.
And then he's like, Fink, you say it. And then I was just like, we all gonna die because Fink ain't gonna be genuine about this.
I knew from like the beginning of the movie where they set up that tree that he's trying to knock down that there was going to be some sort of major payoff
for it. Yeah.
But we didn't know how exactly it was going to play out. So I love that there was like a mystery to it still. So the fact that they were able to knock down that tree to divert the river water into like the forest fire, I thought was really clever.
Yeah, it was. I still was so sad. Like they got the fire to like stop, but then just all the destruction that came from it. And I don't know. I felt like I was like fucking humans. Because humans are the ones that created the robot. But then I was like, fucking Ross, why didn't you just go home? And I was just having like mixed feelings about it. Because I was like, I want her there. She belongs there. But it's also just like if she stays, like, you know, what is it? Vantra did say like, we're never going to stop. Like, we want what's inside of your head or whatever, you know. And I was just like, damn, I was like, she's going to leave, isn't she? I was so sad.
Yeah, so that happens. I think that conversation happens right when Brightbill comes to rescue Roz out of the ship, and the fact that he finally tells Roz, "I love you, Mom,"
but she's dead.
Not dead, but like her memory is just like completely wiped out. But that's still, it doesn't matter because that triggers her to light up again, showing like the emotions that she feels for this bird, and then she quickly just gets all her memory back about Brightbill. Roz is just like, yeah, I have to go back.
They're just like, what? After all we done for you? You ungrateful.
Yeah.
No.
They're just like, we're ready for war whenever they come back.
I know. I'm just like, y'all, half your island's gone. Like, stop.
Yeah. After this one fight, like a huge portion of your force is gone. Like, you got to chill.
Yeah.
So I knew that was going to come because there's no way she could stay and not expect more of those ships to come.
Yeah.
So that obviously made sense. So the fact that they got the resolution between Roz and Brightbill, but then there's this separation, and then she ends up basically having her memory wiped again when she calls another ship so that she can peacefully go with them. And then we see that Brightbill visits Roz, and when they see each other, she still has those memories of him.
Yeah.
I thought that was really sweet, but I also didn't like, this is the part where I didn't like the ending, the part where she's just like stuck there working for this dastardly fucking company for like who knows how long, because I'm just like, I want these two to be together. I don't want prison visitation hours for these two. I want them to be together.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there was a nice sweet moment. I think they were trying to keep it like kind of realistic and a little bit harsh where it's like they can't always be together, which I can respect and appreciate, but I'm just like, no, fuck that. Let them be together on the island.
I mean, because technically she doesn't belong there.
Yeah.
I was hoping that she would be able to get back to the island. I was really worried. I was just like, what are they going to do? Are they going to erase her? Are they going to destroy her? Because I don't know. When Vantra came to like take her back, she was like very interested in like what was inside of Roz and why didn't you call us sooner? Why did you stop the transmission to have us come and get you?
Why is your programming so weird now?
Why? And then I'm just like, well, if Roz goes back, will this actually be a good thing? Will, you know, they, I don't know, update the other robots and, I don't know, do more things with like placing robots in, you know, environments amongst animals and I don't know. Because I don't fully know like what their goal is. Yeah. The humans and what the goals are supposed to be with robots. But I was hoping that maybe seeing what Roz has done and accomplished and experienced would like make the ending like something happier where we can have her go back. But I said once she was taken, I was just like, that's that. They're destroying her completely. So I was surprised to just see her there gardening and shit. Like, I was really surprised.
I mean, it feels like a PG-13 film that was probably like heavy sci-fi live action. They probably would have gone with the bleaker outcome of just completely decommissioning the robot. But it's DreamWorks, so they don't go too hard. So which I appreciated. I don't think it had to go that bad for Ross to just completely be dead, basically.
They should have done that.
Wow.
I would have been happier with that.
DreamWorks, don't hire Jess for screenwriting. Just don't do it. She's gonna make all the kids cry and yeah, no.
It would. I don't know, because like you said, I don't like this. Like they can't be together. Like,
but I think they also do that intentionally because they're probably setting up potential for maybe one sequel. Because the director did show interest in possibly doing a sequel, and I'm like, I guess like, if you have a good idea, sure.
If it's a good idea,
yeah.
I always like make a face at sequels because sometimes I'm just like, I'd rather just be miserable than like be upset and angry and disgusted with like a sequel.
I guess.
I'm like, sometimes I'm just like, okay, like they're just like, oh, we're gonna do a sequel. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking.
But a lot of times sequels end up surprising us, like giving us a pleasant surprise.
And then they want to do a threequel, and then
hey, if Toy Story can do up to 5.
That's
why not?
Different. It's Toy Story. It's Toy Story.
No, every movie has potential to suck. No, I'd be open to a sequel. I want to see them together again, but maybe close out the story with a second one. Because I don't know if this is like a movie that can be a long-standing franchise with like 20 sequels.
No.
I don't think it could go that far.
Unless Roz gives birth to a baby robot and they get to that point, they're going to figure out AI gives birth.
Yes.
Or something. I don't know.
I was thinking to myself, like, why focus on a story with a robot going through the story of motherhood? Like, why wasn't it like a human or like an animal dealing with this problem? And the whole time that I was thinking about it, it made sense for it to be a robot because, one, the robot needs to be able to communicate with the animals in this movie. Mm-hmm. So I think that was like a plot thing. So that's why they made the robot be able to scan all the animals and learn their language. Mm-hmm. But I also feel like the robot just can serve as a template for any type of parent. Because a robot, I mean, technically the robot's gendered as female here, but it technically has no gender or sex.
Yeah.
So I feel like any type of parent from any gender, any background, any economic status, they can relate to a story like this of like what it feels like to feel utterly lost in parenting. And I love that they went with like a robot idea. And I think it makes it just more interesting to watch, like a fucking machine parenting an animal. Like, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That sounds almost stupid, but they made it work so well. And the fact that you see the evolution of the wild robot, like, I wish they kept her dirty and funky too. Like, I'm mad that they just gave her a new, just like, pimp my ride treatment, and she's all like completely just like uniform now. So I hope that they dirty her up in the sequel and they keep her dirty with a wooden stump leg.
Oh, okay.
That was when she was at her best. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I like your thoughts on that as to why they use that. And like I said, I know I keep going back to it. It reminded me of the Creator movie where you had these robots who were showing more emotion than humans were, who were being looked at by human children as their parent. They were taken care of. There was a connection there.
Yeah.
I think having like a robot there instead of a human really kind of puts it at like factory setting, you know? It's just like anyone can like learn to do this.
Yeah.
Anyone can learn to love, and I just really appreciate it. I didn't see anything like weird about it, but when you brought up that question, I was just like, I didn't really think about it. It just felt right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it just serves as like a interesting allegory for what it's like to be a parent. And somehow you can sometimes feel like you just don't know who you are or what you're doing. Kind of like a robot that doesn't have the proper programming.
Yeah.
So either way, it worked out. This movie was phenomenal. I'm just going to go ahead and give it the most potato.
Oh, wow.
I'm just giving out most potatoes these last few episodes. Just like, here, trick or treat.
You get a potato. You get a potato.
Basically, it's such a delicious movie. Go and watch this.
Yeah.
How would you rate it?
I'm going to give it a loaded potato.
Ooh,
Yes.
a step below me.
A step below you.
Okay.
I'm giving it a loaded potato. I had fun. I enjoyed it. I think everyone should go watch it so you guys can cry too
Yeah.
after the movie in the bathroom stalls. I think, yeah, I really think everyone should go and see this. It's a great movie.
And Milo, what would you rate it? What would you rate it? I think it's another most potato. All right, and those are all our thoughts on The Wild Robot, guys. Have you checked this movie out? If so, definitely let us know what your thoughts are in the comments. We're really curious to know what you guys thought of this movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely just go watch it, please.
Yes.
Do yourselves a favor. Go watch it. Go watch it by yourself. This movie is so good. Like, this is for everybody. It's not just for parents. And thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe, follow, hit notification bells, share with your friends, your aunties, your brothers,
Your robots,
your neighborhood bear. Like, share with everybody. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.